Alrighty, so I just wanted to go over the banner and the new character a little bit and sort of talk about whether or not you should summon on this thing, because this is going to be this is a once in a year sort of opportunity with the game. This is a really big banner, and I just wanted to go over some of the main factors and everything that you should maybe be taking into consideration to sort of help you decide whether or not you should save for the next banner, which is supposed to be a really, really big one, or not the next banner technically, but the next festival, which is going to happen right after this one is over, or if you should just go in on this one. So if you're new to the channel or anything, feel free to subscribe. Let's hop into this thing. So obviously the new Elizabeth is pretty cool. I've seen some gameplay and everything already. I'm looking forward to trying her out for my own. But she definitely seems pretty strong. The big factor here is that she is a character that you do want to get dupes for. Unfortunately, like a lot of other modern characters at this point, anything after this basically or actually after this whole thing highlighted in blue here is basically just an extra passive that she gets, and for whatever reason they have decided to start adding. I mean, it's already been going on, but all of the modern festival characters get these stupid extra passives that are tied to the ultimate, which means they scale off of dupe levels, which I'm not a fan of. I've talked about it in the past. It's stupid. I hate it. But that is one thing to take into consideration. The character does scale pretty crazily. Basically, I think the takeaways here is that you're going to get way more attack-related stats. So you gain 10% at 1/6. It goes all the way up to 50% at 6/6. The damage itself, of course, increases. One thing to note is that this ultimate actually doesn't have an ult or like a skill effect. So it doesn't have like Sever or Pierce Rate or Abyss or anything like that. It's just a pure damage ultimate, but you're going to gain attack-related stats from it, and you're going to gain sort of like extra effects that are going to be for the team, basically. So that's where a lot of the actual utility from this ultimate is going to come from. The damage itself isn't necessarily, I guess, what you're pushing for here, although it will be some pretty good damage. I have seen some gameplay where the ultimate isn't maybe as good as you would hope it would be, but I think the utility from this thing is where a lot of the value comes from. So one of the biggest factors here is the damage reduction. Once you use this ultimate, or actually, it's just, this is part of the passive, not the ultimate technically itself. But the lowest HP character on the field is actually going to be able to have a revive on. It's going to just be a blue stack that they have all the time, basically, and they're going to be able to revive if they get killed. The other two characters are either not going to gain anything at 1 and 2/6. One of the characters will gain damage reduction at 3/6 through 5/6, or if you have the character 6/6, the two characters that don't have the revive will have damage reduction. So that is pretty weird. Obviously, that is quite a crazy way to scale it. The fact that it's nothing at 1 and 2/6 is kind of, that's really stupid. I'm not a fan of that, but at only at 6/6 is the whole team going to get damage reduction, or not the whole team, technically one character's got to revive, but yeah, I don't know, stupid scaling on this thing, not a big fan of that. If you don't know how the character works, basically every time you attack with your applicable allies or the character, which the applicable allies are not only the goddess team, you can use humans or Seven Deadly Sins characters, which is great. She's going to gain a great stack of her passive. This passive is going to give you 6% attack related stats, and then once you reach max stacks, her AoE is actually going to do 50% more damage, because it's technically like a flood AoE, but it also ties into the Goddess Fury stacks that she gains. And then the single target actually will do 20% extra damage per stack she has on. It's also got triple pierce, so it's technically a pierce card, but does more damage with stacks. And then part of the passive itself, which is not a skill effect, so you can still use this if your character gets disabled by Tarmio Link or Chandler or whatever the case may be, which is really nice. If Goddess Fury stacks are fully stacked, when the hero uses a single target skill, remove all stacks, cancel the enemy's stance, and stuns for 1 turn. So she's basically got a built-in stun. You won't be able to activate it but every 2 turns, because technically you'll have to build up all 4 stacks, so you'll have to attack 4 times. Or is it an attack or is it skills? Okay, so it isn't an attack skill. It has to deal damage. So you have to attack 4 times, then use the single target skill from the character. It'll stun. honestly, it's kind of a nice utility. It's just like an extra little thing added on, considering that I was basically expecting her to just be like a damage dealer in the first place. A little bit of an extra piece there that you can sort of use from time to time. The banner itself is really, really good. It's chocked full of really, really nice characters. If you're newer to the game, this thing has insane value. Some of these characters you might not be able to get use out of right away, but there are characters on here that will be either really nice to have in the future, or you might be able to get some use out of, you know, depending on who it is. Like any of the Demonic Beast characters, you have Red Margaret in here, who is for Nidhogg. You have Red Magelda in here, who's technically on the free banner, but she can be used in any of the Demonic Beasts, and even the new Demonic Beast limited time game mode that was kind of rough. Hopefully they'll rework that a little bit. But you also have Jormungand, who is for the deer, if you don't know. All three of those characters, if you're not to the Demonic Beast yet, if you grab them on this banner, you could use them in the future, which could be helpful. You also have Tyr and Roxy on here. These two characters both have Unities, which are kind of like graces from the Archangels, so any extra copies that you can get for these characters will be nice. Basically like a second passive that you can even apply to specific characters, not only to themselves, but those are really, really nice to have. Both of the characters are also fantastic on the field. Tyr is a god amongst men, and Roxy is very, very helpful for making humans hit past the damage cap or anything like that, so she can be really, really nice for PvE activities, namely like big bosses and stuff that have damage caps, of course. All four of the current LR characters are in this thing, so even if you're a newer player and you can't LR these characters right away, having them in your box ready to go is fantastic. Namely, the Red Liz here is technically a New Year's seasonal unit, and they've been a little bit more, you know, generous with putting her on some more banners recently, but she technically is still a seasonal, so she's not going to be on as many banners as maybe some of these other ones are. Lostvayne and Margaret, of course, are festival characters. I think the one you'll probably see the most is Escanor, because he's technically just a regular old unit. He's not seasonal, he's not festival. So maybe they'll throw him in a lot more banners, but all of these are on here, so grab them while you can, if you can, because I think one of the biggest downsides is the fact that there's like 20 plus characters on this thing. The odds of you getting a singular character specifically, like if I wanted to grab one copy of Red Freya, my odds are pretty low for that specifically, but there are some other great units in here that I could pull, so it's kind of worth it in the long run. The festival lineup is fantastic. Another thing to note is that this is the first time in a really long time that they are bringing back the 900 selector. So at the 900 mark, when you spend 900 gems and you're getting ready to guarantee yourself a copy of normally the newest festival character, instead you'll be able to choose these 6 characters, which is great. So if you pull a copy of Liz throughout the banner and you get lucky there, if you need a copy of Mael to run with her, grab a copy of Mael. If you need Purgatory Meli for whatever reason, if you haven't been able to get him, or you have some sort of specific use case in mind, grab you a Purgatory Meli. There's a lot of value here in the fact that you can just kind of pick and choose the character that you want or need, and you don't have to worry about just hoping that you pull them off the banner. Because like I said, there's a lot of units in this thing. The odds of you pulling all of these festival characters, pretty low. So that is definitely something to consider. I would say if you're free to play or you're a newer player, there's a ton of value in here. If you're free to play, you've probably skipped a lot of these banners throughout the year, or whatever the case may be. You haven't been able to summon on all of them, or maybe there's some characters in here that you just have been avoiding, or like they've been avoiding you. There's potential for you to pull the characters in here. Of course, I'm not going to say that you're guaranteed to grab whoever you need, because obviously that's not the case, but there's a lot of really, really nice stuff in here. So, you could get completely shafted. Hopefully that's not the case. I sincerely, from me to you, I wish you the best of luck if you summon on this thing, because there's some good value to be had here. If you're an old school player, if you have all of these characters, I guess it really just comes down to if you really like Liz or want the new Liz. I think that she looks fantastic with the Goddess team. I've seen a couple of other teams ran where, they use humans or, just 7 Deadly Sins members and stuff like that in general, which she honestly doesn't seem bad in that scenario either. She seems to hold her own no matter what team you put her in. Obviously, I think the Goddesses, like the Goddess team in general, just gets a big boost by having her, on the team, which is great. So I think that there's some decent value there. I'm actually looking forward to trying her out a little bit in Heroes Arena, and I definitely want to try her out in Nidhogg as well. I don't think that she's necessarily going to be super needed for Nidhogg. I don't even know that you'll be able to use Nidhogg because you need to have a buff removal character and everything, but I'm sure there's some sort of team comp you can use here. But either way, there's there's a lot of different use cases I think that you can use for this character. Obviously, like I said, she can be a little pay to win. You need some dupes and stuff like that to really get the max value out of the character, but I would imagine I'm probably not going to pull her that much if I had to guess. Like, if I'm just predicting my own summons, I'll probably have her like 1 or 2 6 if I'm being honest. So we'll probably be trying her out at lower dupe levels anyway, so feel free to stay tuned and I'll showcase her whenever I get the chance. But that's pretty much it. I don't know if you have any sort of extra opinions on the banner itself, if you're waiting for the next banner to come out or whatever, let me know. I think one of the big things here before you go is the next banner, the next banner is technically still going to be in this festival. The next festival character is going to be revealed and should be playable on JP and KR 5 days before this banner ends for us. So just know that we should actually still have time to summon for this character on Global while they are testing out the new character on JP. So we'll get to see who it is, how good they are. You know, if you're patient and you're not willing to spend your gems right away and you want to actually wait and see who the next character is, by all means, that is the best way to sort of like, you know, hedge your bets, I guess, because I think a lot of people are expecting the New Year's character, which I imagine it's going to be a Meliodas, but the New Year's banner is normally huge. It's normally got a character that blows the meta out of the water. It's going to be, you know, normally a pretty insane character. So if you just want to wait, if you have the gems to summon on both, I would recommend it. I think this banner's got a lot of great stuff, and having a copy of Liz could be nice. And I mean, hey, if it's a new Meliodas, you can run the new Liz with the new Meliodas. Who knows? But that's pretty much it from me. Hopefully you guys got some decent information out of this. If there's anything you think I missed or any sort of information you want to tell other people, feel free to leave it down in the comments below. But that's pretty much it from me. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow.